If you're watching this video, chances are that you've already seen the previous part. But if you haven't, I highly recommend pausing this video right now and watching the first part first. You'll find a link to that video in the I button above or in the description below. Without watching the first part, you might find it difficult to understand the events in this episode. Let's do a quick recap of where we left off. In the last part, we saw that Reverend started hearing mysterious voices in his ears, which he believed to be divine messages from God. This marked a major turning point in the story. Until now, the military had been merely studying the dome from outside, but now they take a bold step forward by organizing visitor meetings, allowing people trapped inside the dome to meet their relatives outside, though only from a distance. This moment brings a glimmer of happiness for the residents of the town. Everyone rushes to the borders of the dome to see their loved ones after a long time. Nori too discovers something huge. Her parents are still alive, and they know exactly where she is. However, her mother previously claimed that Nori had vanished without a trace. This contradiction raises questions about why her mother lied. What is she hiding? At the same time, Julia continues to wait patiently for her husband, unaware of his fate. Her sister visits and hands her a letter, which deeply disturbs Julia after reading it. Meanwhile, Reverend continues to spread his belief that the dome is a sign from God and that the people inside must confess their sins to be saved. Jim, growing impatient with Reverend's rantings, orders him to stop immediately, but Reverend challenges him, warning that if Jim doesn't confess his own sins publicly within a day, he will reveal all his secrets. Now, things begin to take a darker turn. Former military man Big Jim becomes suspicious of the military's real intentions. He secretly signals a soldier to find out the truth. What he learns is shocking. The military didn't organize the family meetings to say hello. They arranged them for final goodbyes. The dome has now been labeled the most dangerous non-nuclear threat in the country, and the military plans to destroy both the dome and everyone inside it using a massive bomb. The message Julia received earlier was actually a code confirming the attack order. A devastating airstrike is scheduled for exactly 1:30 p.m. Now, the townspeople are in panic, but they don't give up. Everyone rushes to hide in the cement factory's underground tunnels, hoping to survive. With destruction looming, Big Jim finally decides to free Barbie and even gives him a weapon. Nori and Joe, believing they're near their final moments, hold each other's hands and share a kiss, possibly their first and last. Then, something extraordinary happens. Despite the immense explosion, the dome remains completely untouched, not even a scratch. Even more shocking this time, when Nori and Joe touch the dome, they don't experience the usual electric shock. Instead, a strange calmness follows. Reverend, believing this to be a miracle, starts dancing in joy, convinced that God saved them. But Jim knows he's in danger if the Reverend exposes his secrets. Seizing the opportunity, Jim purposely bumps into him. Due to static electricity, the Reverend's hearing aid explodes, causing a fatal brain injury. He collapses and dies on the spot. It becomes clear now, Jim is slowly becoming a murderer, driven by his hunger for power. Meanwhile, Barbie and Julia begin to grow closer emotionally, but peace is short-lived. The next day, a major accident destroys the town's main water supply system. Now, along with limited food, the townspeople must face a water crisis. Nori's mom, who is diabetic, begins to fall seriously ill due to the shortage of insulin in the town. Oddly enough, all the walkie-talkies in town stop working and start catching mysterious frequencies, believed to be coming from inside the dome itself. Joe and Nori set off to trace the source. They discover that it's not coming from any mechanical device, but from themselves. As they share this shocking truth, Joe begins to suspect that the dome might be linked to them in some mystical way. For example, when they touch the dome together, the blackout ends and rain begins just when the town needed water the most. Meanwhile, Angie regains consciousness but is now cautious. Big Jim warns her not to speak about what his son did to her and, in return, offers her complete protection, especially important since her parents are trapped outside the dome. James, filled with guilt and rage after hearing about Angie's assault, takes revenge and kills her attacker. The next day brings more mysteries. Julia's neighbor, a pregnant woman, suddenly sees her husband, who was supposedly on a medical mission. But as soon as she touches him, he vanishes, and she experiences sharp pain followed by early labor. This is puzzling since her due date was still far away. Jim, trying to win favor with the townspeople, promises to solve the water problem. He proposes a deal with a farmer named Ollie, who owns a large supply of crops and water. In exchange, Jim offers to supply propane, which he had illegally acquired earlier. However, Ollie and Jim have an old rivalry. Ollie not only refuses the offer, but also tells James a lie to manipulate him, that his mother didn't die in an accident but took her own life. Enraged, Jim tries to seize Ollie's property under the emergency law, convincing even Linda to help. This leads to an intense conflict between both groups. Jim wins the battle, but his rivalry with Barbie deepens. Barbie now realizes that Jim's lust for power is responsible for innocent deaths. Afterwards, Jim confesses to his son the real reason why he lied about his mother's death. He was afraid James would end up just like her. This emotional moment brings them closer than ever before. Later, Joe and Nori make a massive discovery in the forest. A mini dome, smaller in size but equally mysterious. Inside it lies a strange black egg. Curious, both of them touch it simultaneously, and Nori sees a vision of her ailing mother. Back in town, as the pregnant woman safely delivers her baby, her health deteriorates further. Desperate, Nori begs the dome to save her mom by touching it. The dome glows, but nothing happens. Sadly, her mother passes away. Meanwhile, Julia finally finds her brother Joe and doesn't reveal anything about James's wrongdoings. The next morning, Joe shows Julia the mini dome. When Julia touches it, she sees a ghostly shadow of Joe disappearing after whispering something. Both are stunned and confused. What could it possibly mean? Things take a darker turn as Maxine, a drug dealer, enters the scene. She reveals that the dome's arrival has disrupted her drug business. To protect her new plans, she blackmails Jim and Barbie, threatening to expose their secrets. Linda, now suspicious, discovers Reverend's secret drug dealings. After connecting the dots, she realizes that Duke, Jim, and Reverend were all working with Maxine. They used their political power to help her run the drug business in town. Finally, Julia uncovers the truth behind her husband Peter's disappearance. It turns out he faked his death so she could receive insurance money, as suicide wasn't covered. His plan was to scare Barbie into shooting him in self-defense. Julia forgives Barbie for hiding the truth on one condition: he never keeps secrets again. As tensions rise, Jim spreads fake news about Barbie to turn the town against him. Linda begins to suspect Barbie as well. Just then, Angie gets attacked again, this time in the same mysterious way as before. James, in shock, takes her home and finally shares a huge secret about the dome. And with that, this episode ends. If you want to watch the next part of the explanation, the link is provided in the I button and in the description below. Please don't forget to like, comment, and share this video. Your support and requests encourage me to create this video. And if you'd like to support me further, please share with your friends and subscribe to the channel.